I'd like to call the meeting of the Council on Aging to order, and it's 1 o'clock. Relevant to public comment, to receive oral communication from members of the public. Members of the public may address the Council on Aging Board for up to 3 minutes. Longer with the permission of the chairperson. The Council on Aging Board will not engage in discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. The agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes unless extended at the discretion of the chairperson. So the first item on the agenda is to review and the approval of the July 19th, 2021 meeting minutes, which I provided a copy.
All right, I'll make that motion now if you want, or do you?
We haven't been doing that, but sure, I noticed the
Okay.
selectmen do it.
Yeah.
It's the habit that I'm used to, but I don't.
Yeah, but that was never part of our meetings, but sure.
Okay.
You make the motion.
I move to approve the minutes from July 19th, 2021.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so, but we haven't read them yet. Did everybody?
I read them.
Oh, you did. Everybody's satisfied that, or we can read them and then take the approval vote again.
You know I read them several times.
Yes, you have, and so I've read them more than you. Thank you.
Sure.
Jerry, let me know when you're done.
I'm done, I read them before.
Oh, all right then, let's move on, they're approved. So next is the election of Joyce Maturis chairperson and Bill DiMaio vice chairperson, which will be the alternate, to sign the Council on Aging bi-weekly staff timesheets and bi-weekly department bill schedules. So I would entertain a motion.
I move that we elect Joyce Macheros as chairperson and Bill DeMayo as vice chairperson to sign the Council on Aging bi-weekly staff timesheets.
Any discussion?
Second.
Oh, thank you. Any discussion? All right, then let's take a roll call vote on this. Chuck?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Damon?
Yes.
And Joyce, yes. The motion has been approved.
Okay, so I just need all of you to sign this form to
Okay.
that effect. So if
All
you
right,
could
let's
sign
do
and then-
that right now.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next thing is the Council on Aging mission statement and vision statements. Would I have a suggestion on that? Maybe somebody else has something to say about it. Rather than going back and forth and here, and looking at different proposals and reading them and see who likes what. I was hoping maybe we could do it as a homework thing, that the board members could look at different ones and send their favorite to Cindy as an email, and then let her do the final choice. Unless somebody would like to do something different on that. Any discussion on it?
If I may, I think we should appoint one person from this board to be on the building committee when it gets around to it. If we're gonna be part of the building, we should be part of the building committee.
It doesn't have anything to do with the building.
If Council on Aging is gonna be involved in the town hall building, I believe we should have a representative on the building committee.
Doesn't that have to be on the agenda?
Discussion.
Well, I think
You asked for discussion, I'm
Oh,
discussing.
discussion of what I just read.
Mhm.
yeah, I think you're right, that should go, we should discuss that in other business.
Then let's put it on
And
Well-
then-
next month's agenda.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
That's what I'm bringing it up for, you know, let's
Oh,
think about
okay.
it.
Oh, sure. It just,
Wait a second, did you finish what you were trying to do?
not really. I was
Okay,
asking,
yeah.
does anybody have any comments on what I just said?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think sending ideas to Cindy is a good idea. I think we should take a vote on it as a board
Okay,
once everyone has had their input. I think it's best for her to bring back what she compiles from what everyone sends in, and then we talk about it as a board and make a
Did-
final approval.
Didn't we hand you a bunch of things 2 meetings ago?
I do have things.
You
I do
have,
some.
you have
Bill
the-
had handed me a bunch
okay.
from,
And
yeah.
you some,
Yeah.
yeah, you
And
had
I-
some too.
Yeah.
And she had, yes,
So I
Okay,
do have several here, yep. So do you want me to review all
Work
of
from
these?
those?
Yep, and I can work from these, or did you wanna add more?
Well, unless Chuck and Damon have some suggestions they'd like to submit.
I thought we were gonna be discussing it today, but I am happy to go back through them, read them again, and highlight things that I think are important, and
Sure.
just send that along to you.
Okay.
yeah, me too. I haven't really spent any time on it.
Okay,
So I would like the opportunity to do the same thing. So, why don't I, have Damon put that together in words and we'll take a vote on it.
So yeah, I move that we submit mission statement and vision statement ideas to Cindy and authorize her to compile a statement that we will discuss at the next meeting.
and vote on.
Discuss and vote on at the next meeting.
Second.
I agree with that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
alright.
Great.
On the floor motions.
And I asked, did I need a motion, and we did that.
Yep,
And, is there any other business?
I think we have on the agenda the update
Council meeting.
from the director, including expenses and donations.
Yes, we do, but I left it off my list.
okay,
Go ahead.
so this is our expense report, the latest expense report, so just keep in mind the fiscal year started July 1st, so very limited information on there, but there's a copy for each of you if you wanna take one and pass it down.
Sparrow.
As far as donations, the donations I have received, so there's a bit of paperwork that goes along with submitting donations. I have to fill out some forms, send it over to the select board approves it, and then I send a thank you note. The donations that I have, and I do not have a list for you for this month, have been coming in for van rides to grocery shopping mostly. So it's a few dollars here, a few dollars there, it's cash donations, generally from the same people. So I was waiting to kind of get a bunch of them together before I go through the whole paperwork
Rigmarole.
process. So I will have a number for you on the next, I wanna say it's something like $27 at this point. It's somewhere in that vicinity, but it's mostly from 2 different people that have been utilizing the van and have been giving donations. So I will have you donations for next month. We are starting to work on the next newsletter, which will be an October-November newsletter. That will go out the end of September. We do have a grab-and-go meal scheduled for September 22nd. We had a grab-and-go meal last week, went very well. It's a very popular program that we've been having, depending on what the meal is that's offered. So I think September is a veggie burger. I'm not, we have people already signed up, but it might not be the full 40 that we often get. And I'm waiting to hear from Elder Services if they're going to continue this program. Part of it, I think, is due to the funding on their end, but this is like a step above the Meals on Wheels meals. They use a specific caterer. I think it might be the same Meals on Wheels caterer, but the meals are just sort of like a step up. So I don't know if it's something that's going to continue. It certainly was born out of COVID with numbers increasing in terms of variants and whatnot, and people getting nervous. That might stimulate them to really continue to offer this. But I'll keep you updated. As of right now, I know I definitely have them for September. I'm not sure about October, so I'll keep you guys updated. In-person programming, we've been kind of going full tilt, trying to get things going in person. We did have our luncheon last week. Not as highly attended as I had hoped. Could be a number of reasons why. Certainly one might be COVID. I did have 2 people come in and they asked to take their meal to go. They just weren't comfortable eating inside, so that could certainly be something. And I think, Joyce, we had talked about for the next luncheon in September having to-go containers in the event that the same thing happens. And as it gets closer, I'll kind of play it by ear with the catering company too.
Weather play a factor in that?
It was a beautiful day, so it wasn't that. I would certainly think that if it had been, this past weekend with the anticipated hurricane, but
Would be nice if there was someplace we could do it outside even, but
yeah,
I don't know how that could happen.
yeah, in terms of seating,
Yeah.
I know. We're being careful about where we're planning luncheons with like a van ride, which restaurants we're going to. Our van driver is very involved and he always has different ideas. And when I say what's the outdoor seating, like, oh, it's picnic tables, and to me that's a no-go. I can't guarantee someone can get their way over a picnic table. I wanna make sure it's easily accessible for people. So we're looking at restaurants. This past week we actually changed. We were going to do Al's Seafood. And it's actually a good thing we changed from going to Al's Seafood. That would have been in that monsoon weather, driving the van, even that much farther I think would have been a little bit difficult. So we ended up at the Ipswich Inn, which worked out really well. Initially they were going to sit outside under the canopies. That did not work out. So they did eat inside. But there's only 2 people that went, but they had a really great time. So September is actually scheduled for there as well. I think right now we have 5 people signed up.
Wow.
So yeah, so they'll have a good time there. I guess the food is really great. But the upcoming programs we have on September 1st, we have a Veterans Benefits Seminar over at the BCAC. The 9th also at the BCAC, we're doing a theater production. Delvina Theater generally does 1 production a year. It is funded through the Newbury Council, Cultural Council. They provide a grant. Because of COVID for 2020, they could not do their performance that year, so we're actually doing 2. So assuming things hold out, we're doing 1 in September and 1 in October. So there is 1, and they're both going to be held at the Byfield Community Arts Center. I just felt that was sort of a better location to try and set up in terms of seating and whatnot. Birthday bingo, we did that in August. There was confusion on the part of a few people. They thought it was a different day of the week, so none of them could come. So only 2 people ended up coming. They had a great time. They still played bingo. But this group will be at the next one. What we were talking about is Janet made the comment for our newsletter to have a page that's like a calendar on both sides. So instead of just listing the programs in text, having a calendar so people can rip it out and put it on the refrigerator and just be easier for them to look at and see. So that will hopefully be in the next newsletter. The luncheon I mentioned, we have our next luncheon scheduled for September 14th at noontime over at Peter Hall. That is a menu through Starboard Galley. It is clam chowder, a garden salad, pulled pork sandwich, potato salad, strawberry shortcake for dessert. So it's a pretty great menu. And again, if I need to pivot to a to-go, we'll work on that. Our watercolor class is back. We had done that in June. We skipped July, but we did it in August. 3 people came it was last week. We have the next one scheduled for September 15th. Thursday, September 16th, we have constituent services. Marianne Ney is a representative from Senator Tarr's office. I believe she's generally there once a month. They have just started resuming these in-person meetings. I don't know what's going to happen, but for right now, she's scheduled to come in September. So that is for an hour from 12 to 1. On Tuesday, the 21st, the Gordon College Center for Balance, Mobility, and Wellness is doing their presentation on balance and fall prevention. So that will be held at the library. And then we'll talk with the therapist about doing assessments over at the Council on Aging on an ongoing basis. So those have not been scheduled yet, but that will follow this presentation. And then, like I said, the van trip for the Ipswich Inn is coming up. We are continuing with virtual programming. I have gone through Mass Access is a website that has all kinds of things already pre-recorded, exercise programs, entertainment, things like that. So we have blocks of time throughout the week that I've worked out with Ethan, and he puts in programming that I've identified I think would be great. So Kathy will actually end up taking over that, and whether we continue to use things from Mass Access that are already done and available to us, or we reach out. I know we had our yoga instructor had recorded a class, and we paid her for the class, and then we put it on Channel 9 that way. So it's a hybrid of whether it's us digging through Mass Access to find things or going out and finding things on our own. We'll continue to do those.
There's no way that you can track how many people watch that, is there?
I don't think there is. We were actually having a meeting this morning, and Janet had mentioned how when people call the Council on Aging, they'll say, oh, I saw this on Channel 9, so we know that way, but I can't give specific numbers on who's watching what.
I know when it's on the town's YouTube channel, we get a notification of how many people have
Oh, really?
watched it, but I don't know about
On Channel
standard
9.
Channel 9
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is more the way people in our demographic are viewing it as opposed to online on YouTube.
I have to find Channel 9 on my TV to see if I even have it.
Outreach obviously is always available. Janet works Monday through Thursday 9 to 1, but whenever she's not there, we try and help as best we can, and then, she'll follow up the next day. The take-home activity kits that we've been doing, I've been using the grant money from Elder Services, and they are a huge hit month after month. We actually have a meeting with the Friends tomorrow, so I wanted to speak to them about being able to continue to offer take-home activity kits, even though that grant money is done. I'd like to go to them to actually ask about other activities. If I can offer the yoga class sponsored by the Friends of the Council on Aging, take-home activity kits sponsored by the Friends of the Council on Aging is just another sort of revenue source for us to be able to continue to offer these things that I think people have become accustomed to and they really like. Transportation, NEAT rides are being scheduled pretty much weekly, almost. I think in June we had 7 rides. There seems to be like all of a sudden there's an uptick and then it kind of dies down, and then there's, but those are for the most part for rides to medical appointments. And then the van we're using every week for grocery shopping. It's every Tuesday morning. One person actually wants to go to CVS, so we're kind of doing a dual shopping trip. And then obviously for the van trips that we're scheduling monthly to restaurants. And then Jim is quite accommodating, and whenever we call him and say we have someone who needs a ride to a medical appointment, can you accommodate? He's generally able to take that person. So between NEAT and the van, we have a couple of options for people. So that's transportation. I did want to note about durable medical equipment. We oftentimes will get called from seniors in the community, I need a walker, I have a walker. We do not have the space to be able to house used durable medical equipment. We oftentimes will refer to Newburyport Council on Aging, which I don't know if any of you have been there, but they have a whole shed outside dedicated to their durable medical equipment to be able to take in and to loan out. We just don't have the space for that, to be able to accommodate that. The other thing is, if and when we do get space to be able to accommodate that, I would need to go through town council in terms of having some kind of form signed in terms of liability. My main hesitation with any kind of medical equipment is if you give me a walker, I don't know what you've done with that walker, and then I give it to you, and you're walking with it and something breaks. That's my main
It's just like
concern.
renting a bicycle.
You just don't, you don't really know. That's
It's a
my,
litigious society,
Right.
I concur.
right, so I'd wanna have some kind of a liability form from the town.
Absolutely.
to be able-
Cindy, while we're on that subject, I don't know where I was, but somebody from Leewood, I was at work. Leewood mentioned to me that they have lots of walkers, but they're probably looking for some place for somebody to
donate.
take them.
So.
But if you ever run into a problem, Leewood would be somebody to call to see if they had the piece you were looking for.
The other place besides Newburyport that we steer people to is the Masonic Hall in Ipswich,
Okay,
which again accepts used equipment but also often has things that they can loan out. So we do have two resources that we give to people, and then if people are looking for something brand new, there's different medical equipment companies that we can refer to. So, but that is, I just want to be clear that we don't have it.
right,
Like we can't, we just don't have the space to house
right.
it. And then lastly, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that Kathy Zarumba is our new program coordinator, started today. Janet and I are very excited
Yes.
to have her join our team, and I think she's gonna be a great addition. We're talking, I think we have lots of great ideas stirring, so the next newsletter will be chock full of more fun things.
Wonderful.
We're gonna try different things. Obviously keep some of the standbys, but we wanna try and introduce new things as well, so.
That's great.
Alright.
Thank you.
So now we're in other business, which is where I think we
Right.
could have Chuck's discussion about,
Absolutely.
and I agree with you, I think given what the council has submitted as far as an idea and building plan, I think it would make sense to have a member from the Council on Aging, at least as an advisor on the building committee, so I don't know if that's I think we would request that from the selectmen. I don't know how anyone else feels about it.
Well, I definitely think we should have one or two people from the council on the building committee, but definitely at least one. I'm not sure at what point in time they're going to create this committee, but it would be it would be good to be ahead of it and be on top of it. And either, I don't know, we let them know that we're ready for that, or if we just have it ready in our own space here, so,
Well, maybe it's best to communicate to them, like, I'm sorry.
but that's all right, Jerry?
First of all, I think the committee's gonna decide what we're really looking for, because part of this discussion that exploded the last time was there wasn't enough space, they didn't have and I'm not into any of that. I mean, I think the particular plans that we saw for the physical space was adequate. And I think if that's what we're gonna ask to be on the committee for, we should do that. But to add anything to it, I'm not comfortable doing that. I don't wanna add an outdoor gazebo, guys, all right? You know what I'm saying? I don't wanna play cornhole with anybody, you know, excuse me. I just, so I'm just saying that if what we agreed upon and voted on was what we wanna be part of the committee for, then I'm all for that.
Any other comments?
Well, I think that moving forward, I honestly don't know where the select board is in terms of
Perfect.
the
You're
next
right.
step.
Yeah, I
Okay,
don't
but
either.
I think there's no harm done, no foul, if we just said, if in the event when you are ready to establish some kind of a committee to look at a building or a site, you'd like to have, the board of
Some
directors
input.
would like to have a representative there. and have them know that up front sooner rather than later, so when the time comes, they'll hopefully remember that.
That's exactly what I was thinking, that we'll be ready, so.
Yeah. I would think a letter is the best way to do it, so it's formal,
Okay.
it's in the
It's
minutes
in- it's
of
in
the
the
selectmen's meeting. And so I would ask that either you, Joyce, or you, Cindy, draft it, and then it can be sent after the next meeting, or we can approve.
Then we can approve the letter and send it.
Yeah.
Excellent idea.
Is there anybody here that would volunteer or want to do that?
There's 3 I can think
I
of right
would.
off the top of my head that have building committee experience, so
I,
we'll kick it around.
okay, because I would, just because of being the chair, I really am not qualified as far as building experience to be that.
But you're qualified because you're old.
True.
You know what you need.
Yes, I
Yes.
do. So, all right, so should we think about it? And we'll put it on the
Absolutely.
agenda and bring it up
I think that's a
soon.
great idea.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
And something else that I wanted to bring up that we can discuss at the next meeting is the time of this meeting. Because luckily it rained this morning, and so work got canceled for me, but I would often have to take off work to come at this time, and I don't know, and we can't discuss it today because it wasn't on the
All
agenda,
right,
but
we'll put it on the agenda.
I would like that, for the
Okay.
next meeting.
I can tell you now, I have to go to work at 3:30.
Aha.
And I work every day from 3:30 to 6.
Mhm.
So, and I know Jerry doesn't drive in the dark, but,
Old people don't drive at night.
I understand.
so, and I'm really sorry, Damon.
Oh, it's all right, it's just something I wanted to bring up and find out
We
if there
could
was
make it an
flexibility.
hour later, maybe.
Earlier, later, I just wanted to see what flexibility we had.
Yeah, well,
But
we'll
again-
put it on the
8 o'clock in
agenda.
the morning works for me.
Me too. Sometimes earlier is
Yeah.
easier for everyone.
Start your day with that and then,
Yes,
Yeah,
and I can
perfect.
show up a
Instead of
little bit
interruption.
late as opposed
Okay.
to leaving work.
But, all right, we'll put it on the agenda and we'll
Thank you.
come to an agreement on it. How's
Excellent.
that?
Much appreciated.
All right,
I have something for the business.
sure.
Tomorrow night, the select board will be voting to approve the addition of Susan Grillo to the board of
Yes.
directors.
Yes,
So if that is acceptable to the select board, we'll have a new person here next month.
yes, that's true. Susan is coming on next month. And I saw it on the agenda also, and I really believe Cindy and I are excited about having her join us. Does anybody know Susan? She
think
lives
so.
on the island,
Mhm.
and she's on the PITA board, the Plum Island Taxpayers.
Okay.
So,
Probably know her by face.
yeah, she has board experience, so it'd be nice to welcome
Is she
her.
related to the vet, Dr. Grillo?
No,
No?
no, no.
Are you looking for Tufa?
It's nice to laugh at this meeting. So, all right, so is that it on other business for the, all set? So why don't we set the meeting for next month, the third Monday of the month? Should have had that all up. Let's see. Come on. Is it
20th?
the 20th? Okay, that'll be great. Thank you. So the next meeting will be.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One other thing, the moving wall is
Yes.
scheduled to be set up at Plum Island Airport on September 2nd.
Oh, that went through?
yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, that's huge.
they had something in the report Daily News, I think, and,
Yeah, when I was Veterans Director, I tried to get it out to the soccer field.
mhm.
And
Yes.
just a scheduling conflict, and I couldn't do it.
And I think Chief Lucy is gonna be talking about that tomorrow night at the select board meeting.
Great. Well, that's
Initially,
you.
they had looked at it going over to the Central Street playing fields, so I put it in our newsletter as a anticipated. But then I did hear that it went over to the airport,
Yep,
so,
that's great.
over Labor Day weekend, I believe.
Yes, excuse me. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Oh,
sorry.
Second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye, yay.